sure my glass of wine better be at home.
You don't bring yours in?
I keep trying to reach for it, and I'm like, where does it go? Where'd it go? It's at home.
Call me your name.
Looked at breathing. I poured in a big glass and breathe.
That's right.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm Joey.
I'm Nick, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Is he still playing flag roulette? No, he didn't. He didn't live much longer past that. Yeah, I think COVID. He wasn't a running total, you know?
He's in 10th grade.
He's an 8th. Yeah, Mary Beth's in 10th. You know, senior.
For some reason I thought he was actually, no, it's Ethan. Ethan's a year old.
Yes.
That's right. He's very boy. It looks like
Yeah.
maybe not the same.
Yeah, soccer was not his forte.
Patrick still plays, but Caroline, my daughter's got the heart for it. I think Patrick just does it for fun, which I'm fine too. I'm all for it. All right, I have got green lights above me and I showed 6 o'clock, so I think those are my 2 indicators to get this party started. It is Tuesday, it is September 10th, and it is 6 o'clock. This is the Planning Commission meeting for the City of Ocean Springs. If everybody can get their phones on silent, that would be great. Any watches anything to minimize beeping and buzzing and all those fun sounds. And if you can, please stand. I'll lead us in a quick prayer, and I'm going to ask Nick to start us in a pledge of allegiance. God, we thank you so much again for this city. We thank you that we have the opportunity to live, work, and play here where other people want to come on vacation, God. We ask that you watch over as this storm comes through, keep our neighbors safe, keep us safe, just kind of help this thing kind of dissipate, pass by, and do nothing but water the grass for us. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all. So we're going to say meeting is called to order. All members minus Marshall are present today. First order of business will be approval of the minutes from the August 13th meeting. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Make a motion that we approve.
Second.
All right, motion Matthew, second Joey, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That will pass. No old business, so we'll jump on into new business. I believe all of these are a public hearing, is that correct? Carter?
No, the lot split is not.
No, lot split is not, okay. All right, so first item will be a public hearing for residential short-term rental permit, 518 Magnolia Avenue, parcel ID 610-950-41000. Laura Sloan, do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Matthew, second Joey, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing, Ms. Carter.
This is a short-term rental located in the density zone with a cap of 55 short-term rentals in that particular zone. Letters were sent out to the adjacent property owners. We received no notice or against. It was properly advertised, and that's all staff has.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for staff? Anything on the report before we open the floor?
I do have a question about yard signs and everything. They did not have a yard sign on that property. So are we doing away with that, or what are we
No,
doing?
we're still putting up yard signs.
Okay. Well, do we have a picture of when it was put on the property?
I don't, if it's not in the staff report, it might be on the actual server. I don't have it with me, Matthew.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything before we go to public? Is the applicant here tonight? Did you want to speak?
I'm not the applicant, I'll be representing Laura Sloan.
That'd be fine. Yeah, if you can do a name and address at the microphone and give us a quick little rundown. As we go on tonight, we're going to try to limit everybody's comments to 5 minutes. So try to keep it under 5, please.
Absolutely. My name's James. My name's James McGinnis, longtime resident of Ocean Springs, lived down 92, built house 94. Was friends with a fellow, Jeff Sloan. He's unfortunately deceased way too young. Laura Sloan's his sister. She's unable to make it. She's from out of state, Pennsylvania, and called me yesterday and asked if I'd do her the honor of representing her. My address is 11520 Wedgewood Lane, Ocean Springs, which is over on the bayou, on the other side, same zip code. And none of the Sloans, they've come down here. Jeff was still with us, loved the area. He passed between a sister, her husband, her mother, Jeff's mother. They've been putting a lot of work into the house, and they just wanted it available so that they can come visit. And they said in the preamble, come back and enjoy and visit, and have a safe, nice, safe place for people to come and be able to pay the mortgage that they still have. I represented their manager, Chris Dearman, who manages multiple properties, and he unfortunately couldn't make it. He would be standing here rather than myself, but he was out of town. But it's, they've done a lot of work on it. I took a look at it. I've done favors before, letting electricians, AC guys, flooring guys, contractors. It'll be, in addition, be much nicer. And we'd like to hang a board on it when we have it, or advertise it, as we used to call it, the Jeff. In honor of my brother.
All right. Thanks
Is there
very much.
another information I need to?
No, that was good. I was going to ask if anybody had any questions for you before you sat down. And if there's anything that comes up, if anybody else has any comments, if you want to rebut it, we'll give you a chance at the end.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
very good.
All right, thank you.
No, thank you all.
All right, does anybody in the audience want to speak in favor of the 518 Magnolia Avenue residential short-term rental permit? Does anybody in the audience want to speak in opposition to the 518 Magnolia short-term rental? Okay, one last chance. Anybody in the audience at all want to speak about 518 Magnolia? Once, twice sold. Do I have a motion to close public hearing? All right. Motion Matthew, is that a second by Kevin? Motion Matthew, second Kevin, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I meant to bring this up already, but I did see where it was approved at 6 people in the residence, 3 cars. And I believe the rules still say 8-5, so where did Mr. McGinnis? Just let them know, well, it'll be in the record, but just make sure that they update their rules to match the approved number of cars and people.
And the parking map as well.
Okay, so the approved number's 8 or 6?
6 and 3, 6 people can
Right.
stay and 3 cars, and the rule, and that's actually what's on the application, which is weird, but then the rules say 8 and 5. So just make sure that that is made official on the rules and rental agreement.
Right, and that's what she called me yesterday. She said 6 was the maximum.
Perfect. Okay.
But I would, I'll mention the cars.
All right, thank you. All right, what you got, Matt?
I think Kevin was saying something about the parking.
Parking map still shows 5 as well.
Well, but I think, is the parking map correct? I had a question about that because the parking map actually says 614 Magnolia on the map, and it doesn't appear to be the 518 site. Am I seeing that right? This is page 157 on our packets.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
This rental agreement?
This this sheet right here says,
I don't know why that was put in there. The previous one, I don't know. But it's in there, and that's not correct. Not for the right property.
okay, so that is, okay.
But we do have a site plan for the parking on file, so we just need to update that in the packet.
They don't go forward unless they have all the information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, that's all I had. Anybody else got anything? All right, if not, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve a residential short-term rental permit for 518 Magnolia Avenue, subject to annual renewal.
All right, I have a motion to approve by Kevin, second by Joey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. So that'll carry unanimously. Mr. McGinnis, you can let them know that that's not going to be on. So we recommend, the board is going to have the final acceptance. It skips a meeting because of public advertisement. Do we do meetings on the first with the board, or do we skip it if it's the first? We do them on the first, right?
Yeah, it'll be the first Tuesday.
It is the first Tuesday, even if the first Tuesday is first? Okay. So they'll get, final approval will be on October 1st.
Okay.
That'll be at the board.
Know about that?
Yeah, same location, same time, just a different set of faces. All right.
Thank you very much for that.
All right, thank you. All right, so the next item is going to be another public hearing. This is going to be residential short-term rental, 108 Sunhaven Drive, parcel ID is 614-700-1600. Hillary Jenkins, do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Motion Kevin, second.
Second.
Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, we are in a public hearing. One item of housekeeping I'd like to bring up, I think everybody has seen, but we got a letter. Did everybody get the letter from Ann and Richard Coop?
Motion to put it in the public record?
That's what I was gonna ask. I got a motion. So what we did, we got a letter that was on our desk that wasn't in our packet, so he's making a motion that we just include this in the minutes. I got a second, or a motion, Kevin, second by Matthew to include this. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That'll go in the permanent record, as I like to call it.
Hey, Andy, just to follow up, there is a board meeting on October 1st as well, following October, next board meeting would be October 15th.
Well, the October 1st would be when the short-term rentals will make it though, right?
Don't we skip one re-advertising?
Well, but it'd be the 17th is the one we'd skip, next
10-day
week's.
waiting period, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Be the first, okay. All right, where are we? So we've accepted this into the minutes. Does anybody have any other comments on the application before we go to public? If I remember correctly, I think there was another little hiccup with the number of guests is 6 and 3. I just want to make sure that their rules are updated, if that's right. I don't
The
remember.
inspection, whatever's on the inspection sheet is what will be on the permit.
Sure. Right, I'm just talking about the rules, making sure they get those updated.
Yep.
All right, is the applicant, I'm sorry, were you saying something? Okay, is the applicant here?
I'm here on her behalf.
All right, would you like to speak? And you don't have to if you don't want to, but you're welcome to if you want to. I'll tell you what, if you want to wait until,
I'll wait and
Okay.
I'll speak
I
if
have
necessary.
I have a couple of things I wanted to point out that were brought up. There were several police reports that came back. We always do a police report regardless of whether it's a new house. The owner, I called the owner about them and it was stated that this was the previous owner. I just want to bring that to your attention in your staff report.
and I'm not good at police reports, but it seemed like, I mean, these weren't any kind of noise ordinance, anything like that, right? It looks like it was just a petty theft of the property, correct? Yeah, okay. All right, just making sure it wasn't directly relevant on this. All right, I guess, Carter, while we're talking about it, one of the things claimed by Ann and Richard in their letter, where did it go? They also mentioned something about no sign being posted, so do we know for sure that there was a yard sign posted on the property?
That is correct.
There was one, you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, so we're in a public hearing. Does anybody in the audience want to speak in favor of 108 Sunhaven Drive short-term rental permit?
I will.
All right, name and address at the microphone, please.
Okay. Hello, I'm Ron Jenkins. I'm Hillary's husband. 3302 Government Street, Ocean Springs.
Okay.
So this property was purchased in September of last year. It was very dilapidated. It was pretty much an eyesore in the neighborhood. And we've really restored this house. It's a nice gem now. And we have other short-term rental property in the Ocean Springs. And it's gotten 5-star reviews across the board. We have strict rules on no parties. We don't do rentals to anybody under 26 years of age. They have to have good reviews on Airbnb and on VRBO before we approve their rental. And, you know, we're experienced with this. My wife manages them herself. And any of the police reports was the previous owner. He used to lease rooms out to transients.
Gotcha.
So we took the property over and just really brought it back to the standards of that district.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
Okay.
Anybody else in favor of 108 Sunhaven Drive short-term rental? All right, anybody in opposition to 108 Sunhaven Drive short-term rental? Anybody else in the audience want to speak at all regarding 108 Sunhaven Drive?
Motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close, Kevin. Second, Matthew. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're out of a public hearing. Just, Mr. Jenkins, for the record, where I found what I was looking for. It's this right here. Just make sure that gets updated to 6. It still says 8 on there.
Yeah, 3 bedrooms, so.
Yeah.
6 for the cars.
The proper information will be on the permit.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve recommendation for short-term rental at 108 Sunhaven Drive, PIN 6147, double lot 16, triple lot, to annual renewal.
All right.
Second.
A motion by Matthew, second by Joey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same thing. October 1st will be the official meeting for the official action. All right, next item is not a public hearing. This will be a lot split at 706 Porter Avenue, 601-376-16000, Versamax, Mike Hutu, is that close enough? Hutto. Do we have a report on this, Ms. Carter?
Property is CMX. The plat does match the requirements for CMX voting. There is no property minimum lot size. The city attorney reviewed the easement agreement. There were changes made to the easement agreement that were agreeable.
Okay, and glad you said the easement. We also did receive updated conveyance of easement document. It appears like it's been signed, maybe not yet recorded, but that's okay too. Did everybody get a chance to see that the easement has been since a little more formalized than what was in our packet? Do I have a motion to accept the easement
So
into
moved.
the record? I got a motion, Joey, second by Matthew. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, so that easement document will be part of the minutes now. We do typically, even though it's not a public hearing, if anybody wants to speak to the lot split, we do tend to open the floor up. Does anybody want to speak to the lot split at 706 Porter Avenue? All righty. Does any commissioners have any questions, comments, concerns? And then if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to recommend approval of the lot split at 706 Porter Avenue with stipulation that the access agreement, which has been accepted in the records, has been approved.
All right, motion Kevin.
Second.
Second Matthew, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So that will actually be on next week's meeting agenda. That doesn't need to be re-advertised, so that'll be up for final approval by the board on the 17th. All right. Boy, we're just rocking and rolling. This is quick. All right, next item's going to be a public hearing, adopt UDC, update multiple sections. Do I have a motion to go to public hearing?
So moved.
All right, motion
Second.
Kevin, second Joey, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing for the multiple sections of the UDC. Carter, do you want to give us a fly through?
There are some additional changes. The permitted use chart for 3.6. There were some changes made for that. The LBCS codes for the land-based codes, we are asking that those be deleted from the UDC. There's just housekeeping items, like on the actual sheets, these sheets, I just put the name. There's really not, the substantive changes would be 3.6 to the chart. And then previously, y'all wanted to discuss accessory structures, 3-foot setback, some other things.
Okay. Anything else, Carter? All right, before we go to public, does anybody have any kind of housekeeping stuff they want to get out early? All right, we are in a public hearing, so if anybody wants to speak, I'm not really going to say in favor or against. We're just going to say if anybody wants to speak regarding any of the changes proposed to the UDC, now would be a good time. Name and address at the microphone, please. Let's try to keep comments to 5 minutes apiece.
Ellen Hall, L17 Sunset.
Okay.
Table 3.5 is being updated to add condos. Why did you guys feel the need to do that all of a sudden?
Okay. Adding condos.
Do we know why? I mean, can you guys answer that? Or you're not answering anything?
We can. I don't have the answer. I would defer to Carter on that.
Well, rather than eat up my time.
Yeah, well, you can keep going. How about this? Give me all of them and we'll address them individually later. How about that?
Thank you. Okay, so I talked to someone the other day who came back and told me that the deal with the Rigby property, which is a property on Porter and the beach, had fallen through, that deal had fallen through. I was pretty excited. I was ready to post it on Facebook in several locations. And right before I hit post, I called Ricky Altamont and said, hey, just checking, did that property fall through? And he said, no, it was falling through, but then we held some more discussions were held, and now it's on. And then this board gets this package with all these little clarifications and things that seem to really help that developer by putting condos in instead of multifamily, which then doesn't have the limitation for the height restriction, which is not part of the Porter overlay with more strict restrictions. It just seems like whenever we see anything that comes up, it's not because some resident has come to you and said, this is a need. The last time that we did a UDC was in 2019, probably before many of you were on the board. And that was a several-month study with input from people in the public. They got a chance to talk to you and everything, and then this pops up on a Friday afternoon and we're here about it, and we don't know why or what it means, other than it seems very fishy and very coincidental that it's very conducive for the developer, not us. So this screams spot zoning to me, which is illegal. So we're really concerned about this. We're concerned about a lot of things that seem to just help the developers and not the city as a whole. We're concerned about conflicts of interest, and that you, Andy, even though I really like you as a person, that you work in this business with the developers. You're seen in photos with the developers. We are. This is him voting on the UDC. You should at least I'm talking. You should at least recuse yourself, is what I'm saying, from this. And you told me when we talked before that you normally would do that if you were working for...
You said spot zoning. This is not as to any specific property. The proposed amendment is to a definition of a condominium.
Okay, then tell me how this was pulled together from public...
You don't believe the UDC should have a condominium
excuse
definition?
me, this is not your time to talk. This is my time to talk.
I'll let you have your time, man. You wanted a discussion.
That's not your position to talk to her.
Yeah,
You
so...
have to talk to them, and then they talk to her.
So,
Okay, Ms. Law.
what I'm saying is, this is supposed to be a group that's supposed to be keeping track of what the zoning ordinances, the zoning and everything is for protecting the public interest. And when things pop up that seem pertaining to a specific development or many developers, I could see where this is affecting the Oak Alley Adam Dial development, which you also have worked on. It's just very, very worrisome to us. We would like to see public input, not just a moment that we get 5 minutes and we don't even know why or what you're doing. We didn't get a chance to have months of discussions like we did in 2019. It just pops up from 5 to here. Who came up with all these? Is this all Carter with the help of the developers? You know, it wasn't our citizens that were doing this. You need to realize who you work for.
So I will say, one, I have no real estate or any interest whatsoever in any developer, real estate, or anything even remotely connected to that. I too am concerned about how things are progressing in the city and how these large projects pop up. And to be honest, none of them will come before us. Not one of those projects has come before this commission. They meet the requirements. They don't have to come in front of us, so they usually don't. I will say that for the UDC changes that we are talking about now, this started well over a month ago. It was me that requested Carter go through the UDC so we could get some clarification on some things that we thought needed better definitions or better clarification. And honestly, there were some contradictions in there as well. We did not discuss particularly condominiums when we brought this up the first time, but we can certainly discuss it tonight.
So that was my question. Why?
All right, thank you, Kevin. Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak? All right, name and address at the microphone, please.
James Lewis, 805 Tank Break Drive. It behooves me that I got a text around 3 o'clock this afternoon on all of this that's listed on this list here. That before, when we were working together as a team, where you did go back in and get citizen input and work through all of this, it worked real well. But now all of a sudden, everything seems to be coming to the situation whereas that it's all about the Benjamins. How can we get more money? And what we're gonna go back in and change, go back in and get more money, and it makes no difference what the citizens think, because that is what we are receiving from this board as well as the Board of Aldermen. And the key thing is, as like I said, you guys work for us. And my family moved here in 1957. So I know all the ins and outs of the whole Ocean Springs. I go off that far back. And I said that to say this. We're moving too fast, way too fast, and we're not going back in and taking time to think what are going to be the ramifications down the road because of all of the changes that we're making, because of all the dollars that we want to come to Ocean Springs. There's nothing wrong with money, but it's the love of money that's the root of the problem. And the key thing is that I'm not saying that somebody's pockets get fat, because I don't know that. But what I do know is that this just does not track. We're going back in and getting the citizens' input and doing the feasibility studies that need to be done in order to go back in and make the correct decisions that need to be made before we go back in and do this.
Which items are you referring to, Mr.
All
Lewis?
of them.
Every one of them?
Every one of them.
Okay.
We're not going to do that. Well, you're going to stop doing that. This is an official meeting. It is an official meeting. This is not cheerleading.
All right, Mike, name and address at the microphone, please.
Excuse me, sir. You are the chair of this.
I've got Mike at the microphone now. Let's let him have his time, please. Go ahead, Mike.
Daniel, Mike Alon, I reside at 303 Front Beach Drive here in Ocean Springs. I too am concerned about the pace this has, these proposed changes to UDC has progressed on without what I think is proper notice. I'll speak to a few of the changes individually, but I would summarize my comments by saying I don't see anything on the list that's good for families or good for full-time residents. And I think this board should be concerned with the common good, not just making money for developers. I don't know what the intentions are behind some of these changes, but a number of them really concern me. First, I want to start with the Water Preservation District definition. I hear comments from various people associated with the city that the property across from the yacht club is not in the water preservation area. That is false. It is, and anyone that can read the UDC and see the Water Preservation District starts way back in Davis Bayou, wraps all the way around Front Beach, goes up Fort Bayou to the intersection of Biloxi Bay with Fort Bayou, and then wraps east further along Fort Bayou. The property in question is being considered for development for this 6-story condominium is in that area. And any proposed new definition for condominiums that would remove the restriction on height for multifamily buildings at that location is not in the interest of the citizens and the residents that live around that property, or in the interest of the citizens of Ocean Spring.
Mike, can I pause you real quick on that note? Are you, so as far as the changes that you're referring to directly, you're referring to the condo definition, not something that we're changing in the water preservation, correct?
Yeah.
You're trying, I see where you're linked, but I'm just saying as far as.
I just made that discussion, I just had that discussion about the Waterview Preservation District, just to go on record of saying that this property is in the Waterview Preservation District. It is the multifamily buildings on that location is subject to a 50-foot restriction on height from grade with an allowance for areas. And any change or addition of a definition for condominiums should not be used to subvert the height restrictions anywhere in the Waterview Preservation District. That's a concern.
It's not a change in definition, is it, Carter? It's just a definition that didn't exist before. There was no condominium, right?
Any addition, any new definition of a condominium should not subvert the height restrictions in the Waterview Preservation District for any building.
All right, Mike, I'm gonna give you an extra minute because I derailed you, but keep going. I didn't want to cut you off.
Again, the changes on accessory structures, to me, that looks like that's just something to facilitate more promulgation of short-term rentals in our city. And we have enough, and at some point, the promulgation of short-term rentals in any neighborhood changes that neighborhood irreparably. And we should not be making changes in the UDC that promulgate Ocean Springs becoming a short-term rental community instead of a full-time residential neighborhood community. I'll be brief on finishing up. Why in the world do we need to allow a no hardship variance of 20%? That just makes no sense to me. Why would we even have setback requirements in our ordinances if we're going to allow a 25% no hardship variance? There are neighborhoods being approved and built all over this city where homes are 5 feet apart with barely enough room in a driveway to park a car, and with access to the back of the houses being along narrow alleys where the homes are not fronting on streets. We're headed in the wrong direction, folks. Ocean Springs deserves better. We need a UDC that protects us and maintains the character of our community. That's all I have to say tonight.
All right, you finished. I was going to say, Mike, you finished a minute, or you finished on time even with your extra minute. Name and address, please, sir.
Michael Pfeiffer, 716 Hidden Oaks. Just as a little bit of a recap to point out what seems to be coming across from the community, and is my view. A lot of work went into this UDC in 2018 with teams of experts, architects, planners, engineers, realtors, contractors on a committee, along with a consultant working with the city to develop this document. And they spent months on it. And they spent a lot of time having public meetings with community members to get their input. What we have here is a 150-plus page document. Now, I've got an undergraduate degree in engineering and a doctorate in law. I can not only read the document, I can read between the lines on that document. And what that document's telling me is, number one, the public's not getting the input it deserves to have in what's taking place here. You all said you spent about a month doing this, compared to how many months they spent before with teams of experts and a committee and a consultant working with the city. That's not fair. It's not fair to the community. And when you read between the lines in this document, you see exactly what it's for. And given the power that the Board of Aldermen have to unilaterally change just about anything in city government at a whim, which needs to be changed, by the way, this is not fair to the public. You've got to represent the people somewhere. They honestly believe they have a voice. They only have a voice one time, and that's when they go into a voting booth. The entire rest of the time, city government, the aldermen, have the power. They've got to recognize that. You all have to recognize that. The community doesn't want this, and it certainly doesn't want it in an educational vacuum, which is how it's being presented. That needs to change. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Name and address, please, sir.
Steve Tillis, 3211 Cumberland Road. And, you know, I too have concerns on this large 150-page report, and just a couple questions. I mean, who had the input to make the changes? Was it basically you guys who made the changes, or other people that had input?
We'll address all of them in a row. Just maximize time. I'm keeping a list of things to talk about if you want to keep going.
Okay. And then I'd also like the second, I think that the community should be able to have input in, you know, helping you guys draft these guidelines. I mean, you know, as I said back in 2018, you know, there was a whole different host of people that we had input, and from best I can tell, I don't know that we had any input. So, you know, I don't know how far this is going to go, but if we can have some type of input, I think it would only be fair to the citizens. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tillis. And anybody next? Name and address at the microphone, please.
I'm Steve Lott at 205 Beach Hill Road, and I want to thank y'all for your public servants. I don't hardly know, I don't think I barely know one of you guys, but my concern is the 7 acres by the yacht club, and I'm really disappointed to hear that the guy has pulled back in instead of pulling out of that development. We have people in public service here in this city that are connected to Biloxi. So I want y'all to all look at me in the eye on the board, if you don't mind. Sir, we don't want to be Biloxi. I don't want to drive across that bridge and see a 72-story condo. This is Ocean Springs. I came here about 45 years ago, moved to the country. I plan to finish up here. But keep that in mind. We don't want to be Biloxi. Maybe y'all do, maybe they do. I don't. Please consider that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lott.
Hi, good evening. Shannon Piper on 716 Hidden Oaks. First of all, I want to thank Kevin O'Connell for your words tonight, because I feel sometimes I'm in a similar mode. I'm on the zoning board, and we don't know a lot, including the 20% no hardship variance that I would have hoped we could have worked on together. We made that request and never had any feedback. There were other board members that felt the same, were open to that. I guess I don't need to talk about the ins and outs of the UDC. I think we know it well, serving on city boards, or we should. But as a matter of picking apart this document, there's been a creation of some new residential zones. I believe an R1A and an R6. There's no drawings or attachments that explain what this is. That was missing from the document.
R1A is
It's in the 100 and some odd pages.
The R1A is a little different.
Special apartment use.
Yeah, we'll address that. I've
The
got
R6
comments
doesn't
coming.
have it either.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give the public any time to review it, understand it.
That was always like that.
Comment on it. So nobody knows. Is accessory dwelling still in there?
I'm sorry?
Accessory dwelling, accessory use structures, that's still in there tonight?
Yes.
I'm gonna assume?
Yeah.
Just looking at that, I feel that that is a greater issue. We're gonna add that they can be human habitated. So there's a concern there. Does that lead to two short-term rentals on the same property? I don't know where this is headed. It's just a concern. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Shannon. All right, anybody want to take the next shot? Come on up.
Julie Lawn, 303 Front Beach Drive. So is there going to be a vote taken on this tonight?
I'm not sure.
There could
The
be.
board, I'm not sure. Yeah, there could be. Yes.
So I don't think this was properly notified to the public. It may have been in the newspaper, but it wasn't on the city website where it's usually posted. I've been looking because I knew y'all were working on this. So I just wanted to bring that out. And I guess my concern is a change is being made to the Porter corridor where it ends. It used to end at Front Beach and now it's gonna end at Cleveland. And the Porter corridor has strict rules for construction, different things, so I'm just kind of seems a little suspicious also that I don't think a 6-foot condominium would have been allowed in the Porter Street corridor. Porter Avenue's redevelopment potential stems from the avenue being a highly visible entryway into historic downtown. Allows building types and design reminiscent of historic Ocean Springs. Promote a mix of small scale retail, office, lodging and residential. Create a neighborhood streetscape. The definition of where the Porter Street corridor is going to begin and end is being changed from Front Beach to Cleveland Avenue. So I don't think that change needs to be made. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Salon. All right, anybody else?
Hello, my name is Cindy Mitchell-Peters, 800 Cleveland Avenue, Ocean Springs. I really just came here tonight to see what's happening here. I read some of the changes and it broke my heart. I have lived here forever. My parents lived here forever. My grandparents lived here forever. The place that we lived was, everybody referred to as Mitchell Hill. The 6 houses at the end of Cleveland were all owned by Mitchells, and many of them still are. I know that all of you care about the city as well. Now, I'm not saying this alone. But I think that we are many times too eager to accept recommendations by the powers that be without stopping to think about how it's affecting the community. And when you look around and you see so many people that are moving here, and I know we had to change, but I also know, and we welcome other people, we welcome tourists, we welcome new members of the community. But that's what we want. We want them to be members of the community. We don't want them to be like everything was in Connecticut. You know, this is Ocean Springs. And we love it. We want it to be like this. And we accept change. We look forward to change. That's the only way to go. But we have to think long and hard before we accept the changes. Just sign the papers that some other people might have put in front of us. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Ms. Cindy. All right, anybody else in the audience want to speak? Anybody else? Once, twice, sold? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? So moved. Sorry, he said so moved. Motion Matthew, second Joey, all in favor? All opposed? We're out of public hearing. I want to try to go through these comments individually. Does any commissioner have any other comments they want to get out before we start addressing these, the ones from them?
I'll have more to say, but
I've
go through the list.
I've got a list that I sent Carter earlier that I want to kind of hit the highlights on as well before we close it
Andy,
out.
how do you want to do it? Do you want to go page by, I just want to be a little more organized than we were.
What I was thinking is just the list we got this morning, just going line by line, basically. You know, a lot of these are, in my mind, very inconsequential. I mean, just things like, all right, so item 1.5, consistency of comprehensive plan. It's just adding overlay districts, and I mean, it's kind of record keeping. So does anybody have any issue with 1.5? No? Anybody wants twice? All right, so 121.2, zoning and adjustment board responsibilities, items E through H. Does anybody have anything on that? I do if nobody else does. All right, so my issue on the zoning board authority, I think we just have some conflicting statements in here. For one, what did I write? E suggests they have authority. So E, is it right to say that the ZAB shall have the right by majority vote to decrease any minimum requirement? Because it seems to conflict in my mind with A saying they're a recommending committee. Should that not be have the right by majority vote to recommend decreasing any minimum requirement? And then my other question is that E says they have a right to decrease any minimum required and to increase any maximum requirement, and the very next one says they do not possess powers to increase or decrease the required minimum lot area. So I feel like E and F are conflicting. I also agree that a variance without a hardship is not a strong play there. I don't agree with having a variance without a hardship. I do know that places like Biloxi will allow 20% to be made by the director without going to the board, but there's very isolated things they can change. The director doesn't have that, but I don't think, I mean, that, I can't remember if I think it was you, Mike, but I agree. I mean, there's, if the no hardship has to be proven, then it's not a variance. It's just a 20% reduction in the code. So that's my opinion. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in or disagrees with that.
Yeah, I think it still needs to go in front of a board.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird because it goes to the board, but it's saying they just can do it anyway. So, I do think we need to address, to not allow just a carte blanche, hey, I just don't want to meet it type approach, not anything else. All right, anybody else got anything on that?
So are we agreed to have the recommended language in E?
Well, yeah, let's go ahead and do it that way. All right, so making sure everybody's good with 1.5, so I think we're in agreement that 1.5 goes as presented. Does everybody agree that we need to make sure that items E and F need to be married so that if it's...
Consistent, yeah.
Yeah, just for consistency, and making sure that E is not making it to where they have the ability to actually increase it, but just to recommend. Does everybody agree with both
So,
those items?
Andy, you're saying just add the recommended language in E, and then maybe also add in E, other than item F.
Yeah,
Meaning
that's right. I mean, I think
they
E-
can decrease. They cannot do under F, but
Right.
making that clear in E as well.
Correct.
Okay.
And then I would recommend all right, everybody good with that, right?
Yep.
All right, and then the kind of the meatier one, does everybody agree that without a hardship should be stricken?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody not agree with that?
What line is that on? that?
That's item, basically
under
taking G out.
Under H.
No, G.
G.
No.
Oh, without a hardship, yeah.
Taking G out. Well, but that's a good point. You do have to modify G and H. So G would come out in its entirety.
G, striking out G
And then just
entirely.
just get rid out of that for over 20% language in item H.
We can just put it back to its original language, because all of this came out of the ordinance, well.
Well, I do like the language of adding the definition of a hardship.
I do too.
I think that should stay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So just tell me again, we're striking G entirely.
Strike G, and I think you just get rid of the words for over 20% and just say the zoning adjustment board cannot grant a variance unless a hardship has been proven.
As well as keeping that second paragraph.
Yes, yeah, keep the hardship definition. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on that?
Wait, what are we doing now?
Item G will be
Why not just
removed.
put it back to its original, because all of this came from the original.
They're the recommended
So why don't just put it back to what it was previously? That way it takes care of it.
That would be fine, other than we don't have the original wording in front of us. So as long as it captures that intent and keeps the hardship definition, I'm good with, I'm good with
Take it back to
it.
its original.
Yeah.
Okay.
But add the definition.
I think it's already in there, wasn't it, Carter? It did say hardship
No.
before, but they want those words in
No,
there.
that,
I would rather let's just do it how we just
hardship
said.
is.
Strike G,
There's
take the words for
hardship.
over 20% out. All right, table 2.2 is the next item on this list. All that appears to be, to me, is allowing lot splits to be done administratively instead of coming to the board, which I don't have a problem with that. Does anybody want to see lot splits every time they come?
Hold on a second, where are we?
Sorry, item 2.2, this is it's page 63 of 157 or page 37, depending on which one you're looking at. So it struck the word major variance, which I agree with because we don't have a major and minor variance.
Right.
And then letting the lot split be administrative.
As long as there's no variances required.
Andy, that one's kind of,
I mean, we don't see a lot of them. It doesn't take our time.
no, but if we got issues with it, it's, we're kind of a stop on, if it just goes lateral to administrative, and there's really no in between.
Okay. Well, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, it is kind of almost a subdivision, not really, but a bit, so I'm good either way.
As long as I've sat on this commission, we've probably had 20 plus lot splits. And we've had minor subdivision, lot splits and everything. So I think it still needs to.
Come to us?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Y'all want to keep them come to us?
I don't feel that lot splits have been overwhelming to us at all.
No.
So
That's what I'm saying.
I was thinking of it from the public standpoint, of them not having to go through so much just to split a lot if they meet the zoning, if they meet the minimum lot size and the minimum lot width, and it has access to it.
And that's a
That
great
was what I was thinking of with the applicant itself.
Well, Well, but
getting through the process.
So, do we need to have a mechanism in there where it allows, if they are with all requirements met that they have, that it goes administrative, but if they need,
If there's any variances whatsoever, it should come before us, which it would
Variances
which it
have
would
to go
anyways.
before
Yeah.
staff. It
You know,
doesn't come
yeah,
before
so
you
it's-
guys.
you know, but the only thing is that lot splits of 2 or more, I think, need to come before us, because that deals with minor subdivisions.
I don't think you can do a 2 or more. I thought a lot split could only be.
A lot split is
It's just
splitting a
1
lot
to 2,
into
right?
2 pieces.
Yeah, but we dealt with one on Harbor Drive.
Then it wasn't a lot
That was a
split.
minor. That was a minor subdivision.
Okay. Yep.
All right, y'all want to see lot splits? I guess the argument to see them is that, yeah, I mean, they're pretty administrative, and as long as they meet everything, they're almost guaranteed to get through, but I guess we are the extra set of eyes and ears for the city to make sure that they meet everything, so.
I tend to agree with Carter on this one. Because if a citizen is trying to split their own lot and it meets all the requirements to split the lot into 2, I don't think they should have to wait for us.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, but you come back down to it is our city right now this is something that we don't have many come before us, and we need transparency. You know,
Is there any case where we wouldn't approve it? If it met all the requirements?
it's one extra step. I mean, we're not making them public notice, we're not doing all that kind of stuff, but we're at least having it where everybody else is on the same page about it, and I don't see it an issue keeping it as is.
So Matthew makes a good point. These aren't public hearings, so it is an extra step. It is going to add a month to the process, but it's not 2 months to the process.
But it
It
doesn't have to
adds
go,
more than that because we have to get the application a month before to go to the print review next month, so it takes longer than that.
But isn't there a way that we can shorten it down to like how the state does it to 14 days? To have,
We don't advertise these don't
Well, it's
have a
not
public
advertising,
hearing,
it's-
so that we
it's-
ask for public comment. I've never heard of any organization doing a simple lot split as long as it meets everything you just signed on it. But that's completely up to you. So it actually puts on 2 months. At least.
Let's kind of do, this isn't an official vote, but it seems like Matthew would say keep it. Does anybody else say keep it?
do y'all, okay, let me make an argument on it. Do y'all see it an issue coming before us as we've had them present it to us before and we've not really had issues with it, but it at least lets transparency, you know, for the commission to see it and to move forward.
well, I mean, 95% of what the planning department does is not public? I mean, they can go request the records, things like that, but we don't see 95% of what they do.
The thing about it is, Kevin, we are tasked as a commission, the planning department is not over us. We are over them.
No, I know.
We make recommendations to the board to let them know how we feel.
And in this particular case, I feel that the expedited timeline for the resident trying to split their own lot that meets all requirements outweighs.
If somebody wants to split their lot, they're gonna go all through getting all the process anyways. I mean, why expedite something that is being worked out anyways? They gotta get a survey, they gotta get this, they gotta get that. I mean, you know, they can get an application turned into the department so it can be worked on when they get us, I don't want to gridlock this one on this because we got a lot other to go over, but I just feel for the city's best interest on something like that is we just need to keep it within the control of the planning commission.
Can we please keep the door closed?
I'm not gonna die on my horse on this one.
You know, I mean,
I'm okay with it staying in. My opinion is I would favor the resident timeline, but I'm okay with it staying in. I wouldn't object.
I'm leaning towards what Matthew's saying. Like I said, I think the transparency word is the strongest word Matthew's throwing out here. I think it is kind of 9 out of 10 of them. It shouldn't have to come to us, but I mean, I hate to just carte blanche and then 1 out of 10 throws a big monkey wrench. So
I'm okay with it.
All right, everybody good leaving it as the planning commission now?
So what would happen if it came to you guys that y'all would be looking out for a lot split?
If it would-
Like, what has come to you in the past that's problematic?
like non-conforming to lot split, you know, we've had instances before where it's like, you know, I'm trying to remember the one that was the biggie, that was, it was off Fort Bayou State, but we've had instances before where it really not being conforming to allow for a lot split, but the owner of the property makes a valid point, and then it allows the commission to make a decision as a whole, if we agree with how the owner's feeling about it.
All right. I'll say we leave it in as planning commission. Does anybody else have any other comments? All right, let's leave that one coming back to us then. 214-1.
Can you give us a page number on this? Because I don't have that list, y'all. I don't know why I don't have that list.
Yeah, that'll help me too. I don't have.
I didn't get a list.
39.
It might have been one of the, look in your extra, like
I
your.
looked in every,
I
I
know in
looked
the.
It's page 63 on the agenda.
in this.
Yeah, I think it may have been in that. Well, she's got one. We're
Sorry
good.
about that. Thank you. No, it's fine. Does anyone else need one?
No, I got it, thank you.
No, I don't have it.
And if you still can, refer to the agenda packet page, just because I'm going by
Okay.
actual text. and
You want
what's
the
added.
page 65 of 157 number?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
All right, so we're on page 65 of 157. This is regarding applicability, easy for me to say, of plans and plan amendments. So the first one, item A, is pretty simple. It is getting rid of the word conservation overlay district, since that does not exist in the UDC. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
And then item C was referring to an area plan, which is not anything we've required or done, and there's requirements for the actual site plan, so the area plan seems to be pretty either redundant or unnecessary. Does everybody agree with that?
Agree.
All right, so 214-1 would stay as presented. Next says 2.3. Oh, but that's a typo. That was 230, I believe.
Yes, I know that.
So you were doing 215.
Around 230 is, yeah, the next one. So this is on page 68 of 157. This is relative to lot splits, so 230 goes back to the original word verbiage to where the planning commission reviews the proposed parcels. Everybody good with that? All right, so we'll keep 230 in its original state, not in the revised state.
And one thing on 230 is need for additional public what? Very last one.
Oh, yeah, review, so that's probably a holdover from the other. So it says reviews of proposed parcels with regards to the minimum requirements of the zoning district and any need for additional public input, maybe? Comment?
Comment.
Public hearing?
Comment.
You go comment.
All right, Will, you writing these down?
I think comment.
Yeah. All right, so on 230, let's just make sure that sentence gets finished out with comment. All right. All right, so page 69 of 157 is, it doesn't say the section number on there, but that is 332. And that is just changing the word design flood elevation, which is not a thing, to base flood elevation, which is a thing, so I'm good with that.
Can I ask a question real quick? Is there a reason why we're going back over things that y'all have already approved at the last meeting? So there was a bunch of the stuff that you guys approved, and we're going back over that starting from scratch. Is there a reason?
Carter, let me ask, I mean, the board didn't take any action to approve what they
okay.
approved, right?
Well, no, they did. They approved some of them, and then they did.
Do you know if that's right, Pat?
Some of them were approved, and then they went on to, that's how I took the 1.21 to ZAB.
Yeah, we approved a few of the minor changes.
I understand y'all recommended approval, and that went to the board, but my understanding.
And then we
was that-
separated out a bunch of the other ones and said we want further discussion on these ones.
Right, it was accessory structures, some other.
And I was at the board meeting where they reviewed that, and I'm just trying to verify that the board approved it, because I do remember the board saying we just want to send it
No,
back
all
to
I
the
took
planning
was the
commission.
ZAB to them.
We're going back over them because we got a list in order of all the changes that we had. And I mean, if they were already approved, I don't know why it made it back on the list.
I got no plans tonight.
I got no plans either.
Well, this is, yeah, we need to kind of line by line. There's a lot that we can just say that we went over and then move on to
I
the
mean,
next part.
we first need to know what the board approved, so let me, do you recall what meeting that was for the city, for the board?
It was 2 months ago.
I can tell you from the minutes.
A month and a half
That's
ago.
what I'm trying to pull up.
We met in July, so the board would have heard it
From that
end of
meeting
July,
in this packet.
or a person.
From the board meeting?
I was here for
Yeah,
that.
it was a July meeting.
And the board probably,
I'm not talking about the planning commission, I'm talking about the board meeting. I mean, ultimately, what I'm saying is the planning commission only recommended those approvals, and I know that, and it was sent to the board.
But the
And I could be
board-
wrong, my understanding was the board sent it all back.
No, just, they only sent back ZAB,
Well, that's what we need to verify.
Yeah, they
So let me
sent back
try
to
to pull up
25%.
This was the what, the August planning commission meeting, so what board meeting? was
no,
that?
this was July. We would have done it in July, planning commission
Yeah,
meeting.
July for us.
So it'd either be the second meeting in July, but I think it would have had to be re-advertised to put it in the first in August. Yeah, it'd be the first meeting in August.
Do you have the agenda item pulled up? Ma'am,
I'm sorry?
do you have it pulled up?
I'm going to pull it up.
Okay.
Yes. It is, August the 6th was the day. I'm just looking at the agenda. It was agenda item 4B. But I don't know, I can't tell you when that.
They sent it back in its entirety.
You have it pulled up?
No, they did. The board, I don't have it pulled up, but they sent it back in its entirety at the last meeting.
So what I'm saying is right? Yeah.
We've made recommendations.
If I remember, it was actually, it got
I know
talked
there's
about
some
in the
comment
board.
about the certain provisions, like the one we were just talking about, the 20%, and then there wasn't a full review of it, and they just sent it all back to the planning commission for more review, was my recollection.
Oh, I thought they only sent back that one thing, but, okay.
Okay.
So that's why we're going over everything again.
All right, so base flood elevation, I did just see something that comes up later, but I'll bring it up here. So we're taking the word or grade plane, whichever is higher, out of here. So my question on that is, it shows back up in the definitions later, but what I said is, if we only measure height from the base flood elevation, then two things can happen. One, I can flood proof below base flood elevation and then I get extra building height. Or two, I'm actually getting hurt if I want extra protection and I want to put my building 5 feet above base flood, well then I actually lose 5 feet of height if we measure it from that. So I mean, is that what, I think if we keep the or grade plane, whichever is higher, is really needed, just to not hurt people that want to add extra protection or benefit people to want to just flood proof it to get some extra space. But I think if we just don't strike the word or grade plane, we kind of take care of both of those immediately.
But then we're gonna have a conflict in the ocean preservation.
It won't overwrite that.
Well, if you raise the building 20 feet, now the building can be 70 feet tall.
Well, but that is still if I remember correctly, the ocean or the waterfront view ordinance says, well, Mike knows, we're going to shoot that.
Yeah, they changed,
But
it's changed in this one to BFE.
Right. So I'm good with it in that, but I'm saying in general, outside of the water preservation view, if you're in a flood zone, I think you should measure from the grade plane or the BFE, whichever is higher.
Well, we can talk about it when we get to the ocean preservation. Because I think that's one of the changes.
I don't think it's in.
It's not.
It's not one of the changes.
I think because in that, I think it changes design flood elevation to base flood elevation is one of the changes on there.
In the waterfront?
Ocean view.
Yeah, it's the ocean view, which, how the...
What section is ocean view? Do you have it open, Kevin?
I'm looking for it.
We'll race.
Yeah.
So, document party and ocean view is in chapter 3, zoning, page 177.
Chapter 3, zoning, 177. Okay, what are you saying, 177? That's the actual UDC page number?
Yeah, it's 3.91, water view preservation, and
Yeah, my phone, the link seems to be broken.
I don't have 3.9.
Yeah, it's not getting changed in here, but where's the reference to the height though?
that's,
I think I have it saved on my books. You said page 177, I found it.
it starts at 173, and it goes on. It talks about the bounds of it, and then it talks about the height.
No part of a single shall be built nor modified to exceed 40 feet. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Kevin, it says, no part of a single-family structure in the Water View Preservation District shall be built nor modified to exceed 40 feet in height as measured from the BFE. So I don't, that would still be a rule. It's still linking it to the BFE in the Water View Protection
And it
Zone.
may not exceed 3 stories.
And may not exceed 3 stories. Okay. So that would, I don't think that including the grade plane, we're not overriding, we're not changing that in here, so I still hold true on my comment. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it.
I think there's something coming up in here that we'll get to it.
You want to circle back around to that one?
Yeah, we can put let me,
Come back.
Which one's that? Andy, bring me up to speed. Which one are we on?
this is still 332, just getting rid of the word, or I'm not getting rid of the word or grade plane, just to make sure that we are accounting for actual building height, not damning them if they want extra protection, or benefiting them if they want less protection.
Page 123,
69 of 157.
Actually, it's going to come up 2 more times, if I remember correctly, so we'll be able to, and I got a note.
I'm going to make a note so they come back to that one.
Okay. All right, 361 is going to be the next item on here. That will be where? 361 is on page 71 and 157 on the agenda packet. This is about corner lots, just saying that getting rid of the word shall be sufficiently larger than interior lots so as to allow houses to conform to front yard building setback lines on both streets, except where in the opinion of the Planning Commission a waiver should be granted. It does still maintain that you do have to have 1 front setback instead of essentially 2 front setbacks. I'm good with that. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Good with it.
I'm good.
All right, so good as presented. Right, let me make a little star by this one to make sure I don't forget. All right, next one, 371. All right, so these are going to be the illustrations. I believe, Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, don't let me misspeak here, but I believe most of these are just renaming low-density, single-family, just renaming the zoning districts. It's kind of hard to see on our blacked out versions, but I didn't notice on the,
Yeah, on the top, if you'll see where it's underlined, that's the only thing
that's the only thing that changed is the names, okay? Does anybody have a problem with the new names or anything?
Not new names,
Or just,
these are the names.
Carter, it's keeping the numbers and letters, right, like R1, R2, R10.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just,
It's just putting the name of what it's actually called in there.
So you have the,
Instead of just the numbers.
so that's gonna be the next items. Now we get to 375, which is the, all right, I'm sorry, just real quick. Nobody has a problem with those names, right? Okay. So 375, or do we need to talk 46? All right. Now I just wanted to make sure I wasn't skipping one that's relevant. All right, so 375 is a two-family residential district. This was a new district just to allow for duplexes, because if I remember correctly, we didn't have anything that actually allowed for duplexes. Is that correct, Porter? Why was this?
So RD allows for duplexes and RM.
yeah, it's R3 went to RD, and if they needed to rezone, they could go to the new one.
Right. All right, so two-family residential, RD. Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns on it?
does anyone know if that new language is in the current code? Carter, do you know, at the top of
Which one are we talking about?
it says new in parentheses on 3.75. I'm just wondering why that's there and if we should delete it.
Page 78.
Man, for whatever reason it was, so on the original BDC. it
Yeah,
does
I'm
say
not
new.
trying to make it overly complicated, but
Yeah.
if y'all would suggest to delete it or leave it as is.
Man, let's delete it, it's not new anymore.
not
It was-
new anymore.
It's already there. Let's-
next to, it says new.
Yeah, let's just get rid of the word new there, that's a good point, it's not new. Anything else on RD? All right, so just the next page, page 80 and 157 is the, where's my list, RMH Mobile Home Park. And I think, oh, that's just another name convention, correct? Yeah. So that's just another name convention, are we all good with that? All
What
right.
page are you on?
80 of 157. All right, 377, special apartment use. That appears to just be a name change, no changes relative to that. And in fact, same with the next 1, 2, 3, 4 items, 5. All right, so if you're looking at your list, items 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 appear to all be just the names. Now, hold on, there's a commercial, and this may be getting into some of what we were talking about earlier. No, it's good, it's already in there. So yeah, those items are just naming conventions. Everybody good with those?
Oh, what were we getting into earlier? Right here. So,
Yeah, on your,
nothing nefarious.
yeah, so just for those keeping track at home, 378 through 3714 are just name convention changes, so we're gonna jump to 3718. Everybody good with the name changes before we do?
All good.
All right, so we got some meatier stuff on page 89 and 157. This is section 3718. This is another height discussion.
R1A.
So it does say, where'd my list go? It does say 3718, applicable to R1A district only, and we're adding a number 4, the area below in the base flood. I think we're missing, that N doesn't need to be there. The area below the base flood elevation should not be included in the measurement of height.
Agree with that.
Well, so my only question then, this is a question for Will, is Will, can we do that? Can we change the R1A at this point?
Yeah, we can. It's not deemed a change in the future.
Okay.
I mean, I know you're referring to the court order, but
Sure.
it said,
We're adding to.
it got rid of it told us to get rid of RM1 and replace everything with R1A, and we
Okay,
did that.
back in its
So
original
It
thing.
doesn't say we can't do this by any means.
Okay. All right, so, I'm good with the comment. I just wanted to make sure we had the ability to do that. Does anybody have any concern with adding that language? All right, so we'll skip down to 3719 on that same page, accessory buildings. So the area, all right, so section B of 319 is being changed to get rid of the words, "The area of swimming pools shall not be subject to accessory building regulations," which is going to be discussed later as to why.
There's an area of the UDC that talks about that accessory dwelling, the swimming pool should not be used as an accessory
Sure.
dwelling. So that's why that was put in there.
Yeah, and we've got a few comments on that. So yeah, so I'm good with getting rid of that. I do think it's conflicting. I don't see any harm in not counting a pool as accessory building. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, then we have section C being added. Accessory structures shall be located in the rear and side yard except for a front-loading garage and carport. I agree with that. I don't want to see sheds in front yards. Anybody?
No, I'm gonna throw a wrench in that one.
All right.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
We're gonna, Kevin, you wanna go first, or you want me?
Who determines what the front yard is?
The plat.
Ms. Carter, how would you determine that, how the front yard is? Is it the property facing a road front, or is it?
Would that be the address?
I think it is the address. Isn't that right,
Where
Kevin?
the address?
Yeah, I've always understood from Carolyn that it's the address.
Okay.
It's, well, it's not how it's explained in our definitions, but that is a method you can use.
Yeah, so my concern is like my house. The smallest part of my house is 5 feet off of the road. Now granted, there's a little bit of woods in there, so that would be considered the front of my house. Granted, if I tore it down and rebuilt, I'd have to go 25 feet back, and I understand all that.
What would you call the front of your house?
I call the front of my house the non-water side.
The back side?
And the water side, I call the backyard. Because my front door is on the non-water side.
Well,
Your address is,
Well, my address is on the little skinny part that's.
that would be your, that, to me, that would be where your, that's your address, so that's where you're located, that would be it. Unfortunately.
Okay, to solve this, you could say that, you know, the majority of Ocean Springs is one way, but we have a lot of properties that are like Kevin's, like others, that if you want to build an accessory dwelling or something in front of your house because your driveway goes back into the property, you should have a mechanism in here to allow that. Right now, we're going to strike that out where that's not allowed at all.
Well, it says side yard, it's giving you options.
Side yard is, okay, you got the face of your house and you got each side of the house and your back. But if you got the front of a house and you've got an acre of property right across from your front of your house and you want to put an accessory dwelling on it, you should be able to have a tool in there to allow that.
So what's the tool, Matthew? Do you let it like come to the planning commission if there's any kind of dispute on what the front is? Do you go by the plat? I mean,
I think that's by individual, based on how far your property is from the road.
That's the question.
I mean, to me, it's how far your property is from the road, and.
See, the thing about it is, just to break it down, how this is being worded is if our city was gridded off and platted in that kind of mechanism on that part, yes, it would work fine. You have them on the rear and the backs of the property, so you don't have something built out in front. Ocean Springs has a lot of unique pieces of property that you need to be able to have a tool worked in there to be able to allow accessory dwelling.
Well, I think every city does. I think that would have to be an individual basis to come. I would think that has to be on an individual basis.
So how do we put that in, do we amend C to say on an individual basis, but what is I mean, you can't just carte blanche an individual, how
How about Matthew, if I can add one thing, just to throw something else out there. I think the reason maybe, and again, I didn't recommend this change. I know we've spoken in the past on someone will say, well, I want an accessory structure in my front yard, and they say the code doesn't say I can't do that. So I think that's kind of the spirit of where this is coming from. I understand what you say. I kind of get what you're saying is if this is in here and you have a large front yard that it would make sense to do. I mean, you just have a complete bar to doing it. I mean, I certainly see both sides, so.
I mean, can we maybe just add the words without a variance?
Well,
Without approval of the,
well, what about if we did something that the verbiage on this one needs to be looked at a little bit more whole to subdivisions, to platted areas that have requirements already that doesn't allow you to put accessory dwellings in front of your home. The problem is we've got a majority of property in Ocean Springs where, you know,
Deeded lots don't have a set front, I mean, they have to comply with front setbacks, but they don't have like on paper recorded in the county courthouse that here is the front.
well, it's like, just for instance, you wouldn't be able to put something on the side of your driveway.
I mean, I could
only put it between my house and Fred's house.
That's what I was about to say. I could argue based on this, that that's the only place you're allowed to have anything.
Yeah, and that's why, I think if we just put without a variance approved by whoever.
But it wouldn't be approved for a variance anyway, because there's no hardship.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be by variance. I think we need to, how it's written right now is for subdivisions and property that are gridded off, that have regulations already and work for that. But when we're talking about properties that are platted, where you have a house turned sideways on it and your address is, you know,
I like Carter's front door idea.
but the front door idea would,
I mean, because I can call any of my doors a front door.
yeah, but whatever has the address on it, everything. So, I mean, I'm just, we
Why
need,
just take it out? If you don't agree with it, we could just take it out.
Well, I actually agree with it. It just, we need to have some mechanism for special properties. I'd argue that there is a hardship. I mean, it's an odd shaped lot. You're kind of, I mean, yours is a great example. You're like almost an accidental corner lot. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the reason why I'm so heart song on that one is my folks, you know, have
Well, I
a
mean,
piece of
your parents-
property back in the
one off
woods.
of, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that one you can call front pretty easily. But
I mean, what about adding something like non-traditional lots, in the opinion of the planning director, may be reviewed by the planning commission?
I'm good with that. What y'all say?
Yeah,
So,
I agree with Matt.
so
As long as there's a way to let somebody who has one of these weird properties be able to do it.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand. So in order for me to tell somebody that they can have an accessory structure in their rear and side yard, they have to go to the planning commission?
Not at all. Just if it's somebody that has a non-traditional lot, they would
What's a
have.
non-traditional lot? Historically platted?
Just
Existing platted, it would be, yeah, okay, that would be the way to go, is what Carter's saying, is, as is, if they come in, they want an accessory dwelling, it goes through the planning department with no issues. If it is, they're wanting to put an accessory dwelling in front of their house because they have the room to it, it needs to come before the planning commission to be looked at.
I'm okay with that.
Let's say, I mean, kind of the same thing he's saying. I mean, the
Yeah.
spirit of the same
Yeah.
thing at least.
I just want to get the verbiage where it's,
Well, how about this? I mean, make it simple. Accessory structures should be located in the rear and side yard except for front-loading garage and carport. Any accessory structures can be approved in the front yard if the planning commission approves.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah, I mean, just
yeah.
make it, if you want it in your front yard, and then
Right, it has to come to
if
us.
you go in and you say, this is my rear, and she says, no, that's your front, then you gotta come to us.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm good with
Then
that.
you,
I like that.
I'm good with that.
I mean, then Carter, I mean, it doesn't matter if they agree with you on the front yard.
do you need to put in a definition of the front yard is where the
No,
address
no,
is
I mean,
located?
I'll just leave that up to Carter. If she doesn't agree with the front yard, it'll come before the planning
I mean,
commission. Y'all can
anybody that's
discuss
got a
that.
house that's got a foyer and a, entry, that would be considered on that. So that would be a discretionary of the,
Okay, so adding that sentence on C.
Yeah. You got the words? Will?
Now I can build a short term.
That's right, now you got it, now you got it. All right, everybody good?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay, so next item is gonna be, I feel like I skipped one, did I not? See, no, I didn't, I'm sorry. All right, so next item is gonna be 384, interpretation material of similar uses. This is page 90 of 157. I'm sorry, what? Oh, so interpretation. So all we're doing here is in the event that a particular use is not listed, and we're adding use matrix to make it say the same words as our chart here. 1 through 4, so that's pretty cookie cutter administrative. And then we're getting rid of the rules of construction in its entirety. This is section 385. What's that?
That isn't on our amendments.
I think it might be this 386 right here. The other's 2386. I think that one goes there. All right, so 385, rules of construction. The planning director may determine a use is materially similar if, and then, I mean, honest to God, in my mind, and y'all correct me if y'all disagree, but I think this is stripping powers from the planning director to just unilaterally say what they want to call something. So, I mean, this seems to actually be pushing more stuff to us and less stuff away from us, so I would generally support that. Does anybody read it differently? Carter, do you have a different interpretation of it? Oh, I'm sorry. Anybody else read it the same way or read it differently than what I just said?
I'm happy with getting rid of it.
Happy with getting rid of it as presented?
Striking it.
Yeah, I think it's better that way, just to, like I said, it kind of removes some power, which is okay. All right, so we're good there.
And then page 93 looks like a duplication of.
Yeah, there was a couple of them that we struck, did that. So, all right, so, I'm sorry, this is actually, the 384 was the one that, no, you're right, it was that. We already talked about that one. All right, matrix terminology, all we're doing is getting rid of the words LBCS codes, but it doesn't change anything. I mean, it's literally just striking those words. P is still permitted, C is still conditional. I don't see any need for belaboring that one. Anybody have any questions or comments on it? Nope. All right, so now we're in a pretty meaty section with the land use matrix. I need Carter, there she is. So I had several comments on this one myself. One of the things that kind of confused me is, so for instance, the first one, single-family detached units. When I look at CMX 2, I see a struck out C and a struck out P, and I'm not sure if we're trying to say that it's supposed to be a C or a P.
Supposed to be an underlined P and a C.
Okay. So we're permitting single-family detached units on basically downtown zoning. All right. And is that the same? So it looks like the duplex structures would be permitted in CMX1 and CH, is that correct?
I'll just give you an overall. So I looked at the overall permitted use chart, and I looked at it for intensity and use. So that's what brought in these changes. I didn't really think that if we do have houses in CMX2, I didn't think it was fair for them to have to go through the conditional use permit process to rebuild a single-family home. So that's kind of what prompted this. Car washes, we don't have it, although I can put it under vehicle services, condominiums. We've had several phone calls where they're wanting to change condominiums into single-family or multifamily to condominiums. We have no mechanism in our code to do that.
No, I haven't seen that. Let's see.
Okay. That's all the residential ones. So I guess a lot of my comments were just where the P and the C are stricken, and then it's the scan version. It's just hard to see which one is bold. So that's a lot of my questions were just we're permitting duplexes in CMX2 and CH, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Are we permit? It looks like the P under townhomes for CH is permitted. Is that correct?
Where are you?
Townhomes under CH, we have a double strike through, and I can't tell which one's bold.
Strike throughs for the C and the P.
Okay, so the P's, so we're permitting townhomes in the CH, which is Highway 90 zone. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I did have it highlighted red, but Will wanted it black, so that's why I changed it.
Yeah, they're all underlined. I think the correct ones.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're right, I see it now. Okay.
So, condominiums. Why would we go ahead and get permitted use to condominiums in CMX1, CMX2, and commercial?
Because it's a high-intensity use. CMX1 is a neighborhood commercial, CMX2 is a more intensely commercial district. And CH is a highly, one of the most intense commercial districts that we have. Why wouldn't we?
Okay, my argument with CMX1, CMX2, I could see permitted use because that's mixed use on that. CH, commercial, the reason why I would argue the point on that one to be permitted on that is for the sheer fact that CH is supposed to be pushed as commercial. We're not really advertising for people to come in and do condominiums in CH property. If they want to do something on commercial property at CH property, they can get a conditional use on it. But I don't think that one should be permitted.
So you want the P to a C on the condo, but only in the CH or all of them?
No, only on the CH.
Only on CH.
So I just need to, is that a board or is that a Matthew comment?
I'm good with that.
I agree with Matthew on that one. I also think that multifamily dwelling units and apartments in CH should also remain a C. And housing services for the elderly should remain a C as well. So for condominiums down on CH, I would do those all conditional use permit.
Well, I mean, and all right, if we're going to do that, let's apply that to duplex structures too. I mean, that'd be the worst of the bunch as far as intensity, you know, as far as stealing CH to residential. I mean, I think would y'all agree that every residential use in the highway commercial is a C, not a P?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, so let's make sure all the CH are conditional uses for, you know, any residential use in the CH zone needs to come to the board. You got that, Will?
I do.
All right. We got more to talk about on condos, but that's more in the definition, so we'll hit that here shortly. Anything else? Y'all good with all the other permitteds? Any other changes? Any other questions on the residential side? Let me double check my notes. Okay. Anybody got any other comments on the residential side? All right. Table 3.6 is going to be the more commercial use designations. Same type thing. Anybody got anything that they had noted on their stuff? So I had a few, but I got to find them before I can speak to them. And I think I've answered my own question, Carter, on that loft building. I see the underlined P's and C's now, so that addresses that comment. One of my questions was, what does it mean for under, it says associations, nonprofits. All right, so this is on page 101, 157, 101 out of 157, the last item. It says associations, nonprofits, organizations, etc., and we just gave them permitted use across every residential zone. And I don't know what that means. And kind of the example of what I said was my wife used to work for the Boys and Girls Club, and you know they would have after-school care and giant gymnasiums with offices and everything. I mean, surely we don't want to see that as a permitted use in an R1. So what is an association, nonprofit organization, and what are we permitting in an R1? I mean, it's R1 through RD. It's every R district. We would just let them be permitted without even coming to us. Carter, that'd be a question for you.
What now?
The associations, nonprofit organizations, et cetera, that we're permitting in every residential district without having to even so much as come see us, what are we allowing to go in the R1 through RD?
I mean, I can't elaborate on that. I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at. I just looked at it from nonprofits, like, Habitat for Humanity is not a good one, but it's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. But I just really didn't see that a nonprofit in an office setting would necessarily be some big thing, but okay.
Does everybody want to leave these as permitted as presented, or leave all the residential districts as conditional to come to us on a per? So we had this, remember, the church, that's a prime example there, and we let it go because it wasn't a very unintensive use, but I could see some very intensive use coming out of this.
But I would still like to do the review.
I think we just leave them all as C. Everybody agree with that? Conditional? Okay. All right, Will, you keeping notes, right? You got us all Cs on that one?
I have a question.
What you got?
On the top of that page, public administration and other government functions, why are we putting them in our housing? Is permitted?
That could be like a firehouse in a neighborhood or a subdivision.
Where are you?
Top of the page.
Top of 101. I was just curious. Wouldn't that structure be coded something different?
I mean, that's how it was already written.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, I'm just curious.
Just in general, I guess, Joe, I'd be more okay with that because, I mean, well, I don't know if I should say that. I'm trying to think what use the city would want to go and just plot, what intensive use, but I know what you're saying. I mean,
Especially mobile home.
Mobile home.
The only example I can think of is like a firehouse or a small police station, some ambulance.
The one on Dina, I don't know if that's rated R1 or not, but, or an AR, if it's.
3 down, public safety.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, do you want to change it or leave it?
No, I'm just asking if anyone had an explanation.
Because that's the way it's always been done.
Okay. Let's go then.
The best explanation?
No, the worst explanation ever.
All right, so I think, Matthew, you had another comment, didn't you, on this page? Or did I misunderstand you? No? Okay. All right, so leave conditional use permits for all the R zones in the nonprofits, okay? And then my last comment on these, I don't understand the last one, so I'm skipping to page 103, 157. It's the one that only has one thing, and it says non-conforming site, structure, or use of land, and we are permitting those in every single zone, and I don't understand that at all. Can you explain why we would want to have that as permitted instead of come to see us if they wanted to build a non-conforming use?
There's non-conforming uses and structures all over the city. They currently don't come to you because if they're a non-conforming
We're talking
use.
grandfathering at that point, right? But this use matrix is for perpetual going forward, so I mean, if I come in and say.
I felt like it was a hardship on the applicant to have to come to the planning commission to say that they had a non-conforming use or structure. These are things that are typical in urban planning that somebody deals with on a daily basis. I didn't see the need for something that benign.
I don't think anybody comes to address something that's here. I'm worried about the future use. If I just say, well, I have a non-conforming site and I'm permitted in any district I want to.
Okay.
Does anybody else?
I would definitely leave it as C.
Okay. Everybody agree, leave that whole row as C? I'm getting some nods, okay. Yep. All right. And by no means am I saying that everybody that has a non-conforming has to come to the planning commission. There's no trigger to get them here.
Oh, it would be, because conditional uses have to come to you guys and then the Board of Aldermen. So that's exactly what you're saying when you change that to C.
No. I am not saying that anybody that has an existing non-conforming use has to come to us, but I'm saying if anybody has a triggering event that they would have to get a conditional use permit, they would need to come to us if they have a non-conforming site.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments on the land use matrix? I know we kind of skipped over a couple pages. I know I didn't have any other comments, but if anybody else does, if y'all want to thumb through it real quick, we can take a quick breather. And if not, I'll go ahead and jump on to the next 386. Item 2, rules of construction. So this gets into the wine and liquor sales. It appears that this is increasing the distance, and I pulled the state law, and I believe this is more or less verbatim from the state law. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the verbiage being added?
No, I agree with it.
And Will, can you confirm that's more or less verbatim?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I hear Matthew's wheels turning. I'm just giving him a minute. You good? While he's reading that, I'm going to go ahead and lump in the bar, drinking places, or lounges is identical to the wine and liquor stores. It appears to be just an update to meet state law.
Yes, that is correct. I just wanted to make sure that it's getting plugged in as it's.
All right, so those two items about, I mean, really, we kind of had a non-conforming state law ordinance before, but everybody's good with those two then, correct?
Yes.
All right, skipping to 394 Porter Avenue corridor. 394A, this is truncating Porter Avenue corridor district to stop at Cleveland. What is the thought process there, Carter?
The picture,
I'm sorry?
the picture.
Next, I guess the next page.
Okay. Why are we changing it from Front
Because it
Beach?
describes the picture, and the picture does not describe what is, we refer to the picture in the ordinance, and so I changed it to reflect the picture.
Let me, I'm gonna see the color picture. I can't see this one very good.
One's on the left street. Going in.
And Martin
Martin's
is on the other.
right. Last street going down.
Well, but, I mean, the picture appears, I mean, I don't see like on the, if you go back a couple pages, like the Ocean View Protection Zone has this really nice, pretty bold line. The Porter Avenue doesn't really actually, I don't see anything that tells me it stops at Cleveland. It appears that it does go all the way to, that appears to be the yacht club maybe at the end of the
Yeah.
picture there.
I would call that the yacht club. I mean, this is obviously not to scale, so.
Yeah. I'm more in favor of leaving it how it was.
I am as well.
Well, hold up. On where you want to leave it?
Front Beach, all the way to Front Beach.
Leave it all the way to Front Beach?
Yeah, right there in the
overlay.
right there in the bend where Porter becomes, whatever you want to call it, Front Beach Drive.
So where on the map are you pointing?
Just right there.
At the end.
Yeah, right at the end of Porter.
Ma'am, please, we're in the middle of the meeting, please.
All right. What are y'all's thoughts? Anybody want to keep it at Cleveland? Everybody good with Front Beach? Any other discussion on it?
Keep it at Front Beach.
That was you, Kevin?
Yep.
Yep. Anybody else? You good? All right, let's leave that at Front Beach. Next item's going to be 454. This is page 109 and 157. This is just not requiring windows to have shutters. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's.
I agree.
That was a
Y'all want my
useless,
thought process for that one?
please.
I didn't think it was necessary.
That's
Which one are we on, sorry?
that's the 454 page 109.
157.
Yeah.
And that's
Under CC.
Yeah, we're good as presented.
Yeah.
All right, next, page 110, this is section 457A, I'm sorry, not AF, compact spaces. We're just allowing for a few compact spaces, only 5% of the parking field. I'm good with that, especially with the explosion of golf carts. Am I allowed to say explosion of golf carts here?
Or plethora of golf carts.
Plethora of. Okay, so everybody's good with the compact spaces at the size listed?
Yes.
For, and 5% is pretty inconsequential if you ask me. So I'm good with it. I did have a note here, what did I say? I know I am. That's on the next one. All right, 475. Off-street parking and storage. I'm sorry, this is on page 112. Off-street automobile parking and storage, we're taking out the part that says, except that within the CMX, the number of parking is reduced by 1/2, where the space is not available on the lot, it should be within 300 feet. To me, that's not really a change, because all that's going to be addressed like in the next two comments. So I like getting rid of it here, because I like having things in one place, and you just avoid ever having to worry about conflicts. So everybody good with striking it from there and letting it be dealt with here in a minute?
Yeah.
Good. 472, table 472, we're adding the car wash or auto detailing to require one parking stall per employee. I don't have a problem with that. Anybody have any discussion on that? Okay. 472, okay. So now we are on page 115. It's got a use and a required parking spaces. And if what did that used to look like? Are we adding all of this or just modifying what was there? Let me pull my old one just to make sure. Right here. What page is it on the old use?
206. Page.
Okay.
That's exactly
the same?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any of that underline being added. Is that right, Carter?
No, it is all different.
No, it's not. I mean, the CMX
No,
two
it's not.
was always 50%. The 25% is what I suggested for CMX one. Are we talking about the same thing?
Yes.
What was the reasoning to go?
Because there's CMX downtown in the historic district and there's problems parking. Trying to give some relief for people coming in, trying to develop info.
One thing I really don't like about it is the way we qualify, and I'd be better if we got rid of the qualifier, but where it says, if current parking count regulations cannot be achieved. But I mean, to me, you either require 50% or you require 100%. You don't, who makes the determination? I mean, is the developer going to just say, well, I couldn't meet it, and we say good? I mean, does it have to be, who determines that?
It would be something that I would work with them and figure out whether they could make it work or not.
Do y'all like that qualifier at the end, or do y'all think it's better just to let it be 50% in CMX2? Or do y'all have any strong
We allow
opinion?
for that currently. CMX two allows for 50% reduction in parking currently. CMX does not. CMX one does not.
Okay. Does everybody agree with if the current parking regulations can't be achieved, or do we just leave it as 25% in CMX one? Nobody cares? Y'all want to leave it? We can leave it.
We would leave it.
I'm fine with that too.
I still think that the word shared is a misnomer on the next item. I believe that to be off-site parking unless if it was shared, then I would say, we need to prove that both businesses can utilize one parking spot effectively. So, the old church parking lot can be used for retail during the week type argument.
What about strip malls where you got, straight front and
Well, but the strip mall is going to be parked per the strip mall. Usually those are going to just be like 1 per 200. I'm not.
Well, I'm talking like by the Arby's where the AT&T is.
Right.
It's a straight thing. Where they're sharing parking between the vendors.
Well, but they're sharing it, but it's one building.
Yeah,
No.
it's
So this-
common parking is what it is.
Okay, common parking.
So shared parking in my mind is two adjacent properties say, hey, I don't use this during Monday through Friday, I use it on the weekends, you can use it here. What I don't like about calling this shared is instead of just off-site, if we named it off-site, I think it meets, and this is the example of the taco place having their parking, 2 doors down.
Yeah.
But I'd rather see it be called off-site. I don't, if anybody wants to say they agree, we can make it. If not, I don't care.
I agree with off-site.
Yeah? Everybody good with changing it to off-site parking?
And what about keeping it at the 300, or do you think it needs to be upped a little bit?
I think it used to be 400. in another session.
I did, and I was trying to make it less, so they could, the less distance from the parking makes sense.
I like 300.
I'm good with 300.
You're gonna lose.
No, I know.
We'll get to 300. And then, okay, I don't have anything else. Anybody have any problems with how it's presented on existing commercial buildings?
What are we calling it? Other than
Off-site parking?
Is that the only change we've recommended so far on table 4.7?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then I'm good with existing commercial. Everybody good there?
So as presented, except changing shared offsite.
Yep. All right, 472, okay, so the footnotes at the bottom, I didn't have any comments on this one, yeah, I did. Oh, I got a question for Nick. Nick, now's your time to shine, buddy. Width of access ways, the width of any curb cut shall not exceed 33 feet nor be less than 15 feet with a minimum curb radius of 5 feet. So my reason to ask you is, I know on a fire access, y'all like to have a 28-foot radius, or at least what I would call effective if you can use the other lane. Does that give you any concern? Do we need to add anything about fire access, or do we have fire access plenty defined elsewhere in fire codes that make it where this doesn't hurt your feelings?
Just reading it to make sure. Obviously, trucks are getting wider. They're 8 feet, basically bumper to bumper, width-wise, not counting any mirrors. But, I mean, you're looking at 15 feet wide, the 5-foot rating, I think you're fine there.
Okay. If Nick's good, I'm good. I'm not gonna, I don't know nothing about driving a fire truck. I never done it.
So we allow for a reduced setback of 5 feet with swimming pools. So my concern is if you have excuse me, ma'am, we're in the middle of a hearing, thank you. What I was thinking is if you have two that are reduced to 5-foot setbacks, I was afraid that it would create too much of a unstable wall. That's where I was going with that.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing here.
Yeah, he was.
You're not?
Yeah, but we're good with as
It was the width of access ways? Is that what you're on, what you're looking at?
What page are y'all on? Are
We're
you
on
on
one-
272?
one-
117.
115.
Aren't you
115.
Aren't you on 4?
No, we're on 115.
115, page 115.
All right, my other,
Oh. I'm not even on that page.
so my other question was, do we need to define where we're talking about spacing between? Are we requiring 100 feet between them, or are we do you just have to have, if you have 200 feet, you can have two driveways. Do they have to be 100 feet separated?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I've never applied this.
Yeah, so this is something I've come across 100 times in doing some commercial development. So we need to be careful on making sure that we say they have a minimum separation, and we need to define what that separation is. So typically, you're going to call it the end of radius or the end of the cord to the next end of cord. Otherwise, people are going to want to do center line to center line, which makes it effectively 60 or 70 feet or whatever. So if we could simply add under number of access ways per lot, very simply just somewhere say that they have to be 100 feet separated from end of radius to end of radius. That makes sense, Will?
What would be?
No, I mean, where do you want to put that exactly?
It goes in that section, so the access to, I think it says, wherever feasible, or one space for every 100 feet of lot's frontage, and then add a sentence to say driveways or access ways, I guess is what we're calling them. Access ways shall be a minimum of 100 feet between them when measured from the end of radius.
Well,
Or edge of cord or end of radius. Matthew's got additional comments.
I mean,
Why are we, this wasn't one of the changes. Was there something about this that has not worked in the past? Is that why we're picking this?
I thought it was a change because the spreadsheet said B 1 through 3.
This was item 2.
This isn't a change, I didn't change this. It was just the,
It's just the page of the chart is
the
continues on.
CMX, I didn't change that.
Okay. Well, maybe it's a non-issue, but we'll find out. All right, 621. This is going to be page 117. My page notes. All right, so 621, this is the accessory uses section. The first item that's highlighted is section 4. This is swimming pools that I believe Carter was referring to a minute ago. If you want to talk about your swimming pool idea there.
Oh, no, I already did.
I don't really understand what is number 4 saying. Are we just saying that that a pool has to be 5 feet from the property line?
From the edge of pavement, not the property line.
Yeah, the edge of the pavement, so.
Right, so if you have,
Giving a little more distance.
Yeah.
So
So
that
that's,
the wall strength will not give way since we give our setbacks 5 feet for a swimming pool. I don't have a problem with the 5-foot setback, but everybody has talked about the community that you guys want to be and all that. And so all of our accessory structures have a reduced setback of 5 feet on the side and rear.
I was just
But
asking.
the swimming pool was my concern for that reason.
So in this item is in item 4, does the water of the pool have to be 5 feet, or does the edge of pavement starts and then you go?
so if you
so
got
it's
3 foot
basically, you got a,
No, I'm good. I got it.
you got a 3 foot apron, you got an 8 foot setback.
All right, item 9, accessory structures shall be located in the side or rear yard when the lot size or configuration prohibit it. So I'm not sure what that means. What I think it may need to say, or may mean to say, is unless. So instead of the word when, is that what we meant? So accessory structures shall be located in the side or rear yard unless the lot size or configuration prohibit it.
yeah, that one goes back to.
I mean, we've kind of already addressed that one. I mean, I would
No, but I'm
suggest-
saying the word when doesn't seem to be the right word there.
I'm just saying back to your point of not having things in multiple places.
Oh, you
why
saying
not
strike
cut it
this one
down?
completely? Okay,
Yeah.
no, I agree, that's a good
I
point.
mean, I guess it's already not there, so just just on the proposed change,
Don't have
strike
a
it down.
redundancy of it. It's
Yeah,
already flooded in
I
one
agree.
area,
I like
leave it in that one
Yeah, I
area.
agree.
Very good.
And back on that one, we said,
All right, so
yard
page,
can come to the, front yards can't have accessory structures conditioned on the planning commission or board approval.
yeah, no, I like it, perfect.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so top of the page, 273, we have a few more things coming in. So 1, the accessory dwelling should serve the principal use or structure. I agree with that. Everybody good with there? Be customarily accessory and clearly incidental and subordinate to the principal use and structure. To me, 10 and 11 are similar, but maybe there's enough difference to keep both. But does anybody have any issue with either of those? All right, an accessory use can be attached or detached from the principal unit. So my question there, and this may be a Darryl question, I'm not sure, but I have seen a lot of people get away with what I've seen is if a roof line is connected, that is one building, one unit. So I don't know how.
We talked about that, Daryl and I, in this UDC, and that is not our definition. Our definition is, it is incidental to the primary use. It doesn't mean that if it's all under roof, it becomes one primary use.
Okay, well, Daryl's already said it, and that's good for me. I just want to make sure we had looped him in, so thank you for that. And then, what did I say here? The last comment I had was, I don't think we need item 13, because it starts out saying, and actually I think 13 is in conflict, because item C says accessory structures may be allowed in any zoning district, and then it says commercial, industrial, residential. I don't know that we need item 13. I don't know that it hurts anything to keep it in there, but it's repetitive and in my mind slightly conflicting with. Y'all want to get rid of 13?
Yep. We added it?
Yeah, it's being added right now, but I think it's already addressed.
Okay, well then.
Let's just strike 13 off of there. That is 621. That's on page 118, the last new item added.
Number 13.
All right, under 622, use limitations, page 118, item C, we were taking out, all uses and structures accessory to single-family detached dwellings shall cover no more than 25% of the area of the minimum required yard. Are we allowing the accessory use to be the entire backyard now?
Well, I think later on, it addresses the sizes of accessory structures in the UDC.
Remember it addressed the height in greater detail as we went on.
I think it said it can be 40, it can't be more than 40% of the
main structure.
Main structure.
Right.
Okay. All right, was everybody good getting rid of the 25%?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then we'll leave it as proposed. The next one is item E. This kind of gets into that same base flood elevation. I think,
I think that's good.
We addressed that already.
Okay. All right, 622, right? So we're going down to 623, permitted accessory uses. I'm not sure what are we. So E says garages or carports, but E is struck out, but then only non-commercial. We're allowing for garages and carports, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're just getting rid of the word non-commercial. Correct?
Yes.
I'm good with that. Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns? All right. So fences and walls. Anybody have anything on that?
Well, it looks like it was changed how we talked about it last time. 4.5 feet.
The only thing, where did I see it? Nope, never mind. No, it took care of it. I'm good. Anybody have any other comments on that one? Okay.
Just on that one, it has 5 and then 4.5 feet.
Yeah, I think that's just a typo though.
I mean, it should be, we talked about 4.5.
Yeah, we all agreed on 4.5.
Okay, good call, good catch. So the word 5, everybody see that? I'm on the top of page 120. It says 5 and then parenthetically says 4.5, and we're all saying 4.5 is the correct answer, correct? All right. We're taking out all the words about, and I agree with, having to get a notarized statement from the neighbors and all. I think that's overly onerous to allow something that we kind of don't want anyways. Does anybody want to see that changed, or is everybody good getting rid of that permission may be granted for a maximum height in the front yard if you get all these? Does anybody want to see 8-foot walls in the front yard?
No.
Okay. All right. Looks like the rest of that section is just changing the markers, so that's nothing. All right, let's see. We're on the back of this now. 6.3, purpose and finding, subsection B. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we did add. If y'all look at the top of page 123, bike racks, car wash vacuums, outdoor dining, we did add some additional type accessory uses, which I didn't have any issue with those. Does anybody?
What's on the bottom of 122? Enclosed with a pool enclosure or closure?
I believe,
Underlined.
I think that was actually already there. I think I actually looked at that one, Joe, but let me double check real quick. I'm pretty sure that was as it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was underlined, I was just questioning.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so we're good with all the new structures on the top, correct? All right, so now we're down to section 6.3. Right here. This is accessory dwelling units. Item 631, purpose and findings. This section, so section B, we're taking out, this section allows and encourages the more efficient use of existing housing stock to preserve historic structures and to provide an incentive for their maintenance. That doesn't really seem to change the ordinance or the intent. I'm good leaving it in. I'm good leaving it out. If y'all want to get rid of it, let's get rid of it. Does anybody have any strong feelings on it?
Do not.
I mean, it's just kind of a qualification of the ordinance, so.
Hey, going back, can I go back to something? I'm sorry. So this supplemental condition specific uses.
I'm sorry, what page are you on?
On the 122. Okay, the top, it's supplemental condition specific uses. And we have all these things listed and we added all these things. We added all these, the bike rack, the car wash vacuum, the outdoor dining.
That's correct.
And we just randomly added things that we thought we may need.
These would be accessory uses that would be eligible to be put in, and keep in mind, this is commercial too, obviously. We're not talking drive-through windows at my house, but.
Right, well,
Yeah,
I think we should add charging stations, some kind of, because
Yeah, I like it. So that'd be PP, charging stations, car charging, I'm assuming you're talking, right? Yeah. I like that. Everybody good with that? Okay. Good deal. All right, we're good on 6.3B. 6.3.3, location, separate detached garages and separate accessory units are not permitted to be on the same lot. We're getting rid of that. But we're leaving the rest of it about accessory units may be created as a second story with detached garages, which is the old UDC verbiage. Everybody good with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, I think we already actually talked about that one. We did pretty good length last time. 636 occupancy. So we're getting into item B, getting rid of the property owner must occupy either the principal dwelling or the accessory dwelling as a permanent residence. The property owner shall not receive rent for the principal dwelling for purposes of this section. Property owner means the title holder. That's pretty much, the rest is
Yeah, and then the
defining property owner.
next one's the affidavit one. I agree with getting rid of all those too.
You
Stricken it. It's not necessary.
So you don't think the property owner needs to live in the principal dwelling?
No.
And I kind of agree, because if I have a long-term renter,
Right.
then I still want to be able to, they may want to have a shed for that matter. The only question I would have is, does that open up, if I have an accessory dwelling and I have a house and I don't live in either of them, am I renting both of them? Do we care if they're renting both of them? We're not talking short-term. The short-terms would still have to be approved. I'm talking long-term renters right now. Do we care if there's one piece?
I think you already have, in the city, there's already property like that.
That have two long-term renters?
Yeah, I think you're gonna long-term rent both of them. There's not much we can do about it.
Yep. So y'all are good with taking out B and
Yeah,
C?
I'll take out all the recommendations approved.
Okay. Oh, too many pieces of paper, guys. All right, so 636, we're good with B and C. 7.2. And I guess I'm a little confused. We jumped to 7.2, but there's a lot of comments on the top of page 125. So things like the utilities, which we already talked about this, just the accessory dwelling has to be connected to water and sewer. I think we're all on the same page there. Occupancy shall not, we talked about that last time. I'm sorry. So accessory apartment, 639, we talked about this. This is where it says the apartment can't exceed 35% of the principal structure. That's an old thing. We're getting rid of the occupancy shall not exceed one person per 400 square feet. Which I don't know that that's the business the city needs to be. I'm just telling you how much money we need. All right. Anybody have any comments on there before we jump to 7.2 definitions? Everybody caught up? Anybody need to breathe? All right, so we're in the definitions section. First thing, accessory structure fits as the word spelling of the word principal. Accessory structure should constitute a minimal initial investment, be ancillary to the principal structure. I think this definition is very much in line with what we've already discussed. Does everybody agree with the changes to accessory structure?
Yes.
All right. Now, the bigger one would be the accessory dwelling unit, means a small, or the new one, means a small independent residential dwelling unit located on the same lot as a standalone detached family home, such as an apartment over the garage or a tiny house on a foundation in the backyard, or an apartment that is attached to the principal structure. I mean, that seems to be a pretty good definition to me. Does anybody want any changes to that one?
No, I'm good with that.
Foundation, how would you determine?
Well, I think it just not on wheels. They make those tiny homes that are classified as RVs.
Modular.
Yeah.
Now, it's this foundation, if you wanted to say on piers, on, concrete.
I would think any conventional slab, any hard set structure, basically.
Anchor.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, because you can get tight ends for that. All right, so everybody's good with the accessory dwelling as presented in the definition, correct?
Yes.
All right. Next definition, automobile repair seems to be a pretty standard. This is page 129. I don't have any comments there. Is everybody good with automobile? All right, one comment I had, the next definition that's being, I guess, added in total is bed and breakfast. Or the only thing I think we talked about this. I don't remember where we landed, but the words of historic significance, is that necessary in the definition? What does that mean? Who determines?
Yeah, I don't think it should just be governed to historic for a bed and breakfast. I think anybody within certain areas can apply for bed and breakfast.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's still a conditional use, so I mean, every one of them comes to us, so if there's an obvious reason not to have it, there would be that. So let's just get rid of the words of historic significance. Everybody good with that?
Yeah,
All right, everybody good with the rest of the definition?
yeah.
Okay. Berm seems pretty standard definition. Anybody have any questions or comments on it? All right, we have boat manufacturing, boat repair, boat sales, and boat storage all being added. I didn't see any problem with any of those. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, brew pub. Well, the only question I had, and I'm not even opposed to it necessarily, is what is the serves up to, oh, never mind, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. It says serves up to 5,000, so we're making sure it's not a real brewery. I like it. I'm good with it. Anybody have any comments on brew pub? Okay. Buffer riparian, I was good with it. What you got? Anybody have any questions, comments? We have a couple instances of repeats and some misspellings, so the BAP manufacturing, but it's already listed, so just, I'm sure y'all clean up the definitions, Carter. Okay. So, top of page 132, book or media show. Show, I believe that's, is that supposed to be show or store? Top of page 132, the way we're saying it, book or media store, a retail store that sells books or other media, not show, is that correct?
I mean, that would make sense to me.
Yeah. All right, let's get that changed. Brew pub's a repeat. All right, carport seems to be a good definition to me. Anybody have any questions on it? And then same on the car wash and auto detailing. I didn't take any exception to anything on there. Everybody good with those? All right, next page 133 near the bottom, just defining a cinema. I believe that's pretty standard. Any questions? 134, city clerk is the city clerk of Ocean Springs. I like it. Note the lady's kind of kind. Common area or open space area within or related to development site. That's for all the enjoyment of residents. I'm good with all that. Everybody good with that one? Yep. All right. Comprehensive plan. What did I write for that? So the only, I mean, it's fine, I guess, but it does say as used in this chapter, the term refers to the most recently adopted comprehensive plan of the city of Ocean Springs. I don't think we need as used in this chapter. It needs to be throughout the book, right? So let's just, if we get rid of.
Yeah, just the term refers to.
Yeah. So if y'all can strike as used in this chapter, so it'll simply say this term refers to the most recently adopted. All right, conditional use, I was good with, as well as conditional use permit. Do y'all have any questions on it? I know where I'm going to land on the next one. All right, so condominium, a building or group of buildings in which units are owned individually and the structure, common areas, and facilities are owned by all the unit owners on a proportional basis. A condominium is considered a multi-family dwelling that is owner-occupied or rented for a minimum of 30 days or more. Any thoughts?
So if a condominium wants to do a short-term rental, they've got to come to us, right? They just can't automatically do short-term rentals inside condos.
Well, that would be, make it a short-term rental.
What if they're in their overlay district?
Well, I don't guess I'm, elaborate on what your question, what are you saying?
So, I mean, owner occupied or rented for a minimum of 30 days or more.
Or more, okay, I see what you're saying, yeah, I got you.
So that precludes them from automatically being able to do short-term rental inside the
Unless,
condo.
unless it's.
Unless it's in an overlay district or commercial.
And strict interpretation, you could argue it precludes short-term rental in any condominium because it says it's rented for a minimum of 30 days or more.
Right.
I'm not sure, like, where MLS, so the words multifamily dwelling, is that true or is that false?
I mean, isn't each condo its own separate dwelling?
So in the development world, the difference in like a townhome, you own the building and the land, and a condo, you own the building.
You just, the unit.
But I typically think of them as a single-family dwelling. You know, it's
I think this is
attached.
talking about the entire building,
They're talking about the use.
The-
It's
the
a
whole-
multifamily
the whole
use.
thing, not just the individual condominium.
Condominium is considered a multifamily dwelling building. Building dwellings redundant.
Facility, I don't know. No.
Structure.
Structure.
Do you not insert multifamily use dwelling?
A condominium. Condominium can be
There's multiple.
single, or it can be, like, what condominiums do you live in? Or what it,
So it's like the building houses multiple families, but the condo itself is for a single.
And
Singular.
that's defined in this, though.
Yeah, it does say individually owned.
Yeah, I think it's a good definition.
Anybody else?
Multifamily dwelling structure.
There are definitions for that you might want to use. Instead of
As Susan say, surely there's one in the Webster dictionary or some kind of dictionary.
Good, let's see. A building or complex of buildings containing a number of individually owned apartments or houses. Anybody got any questions, comments, thoughts?
I'm okay with the definition, it's the minimum of 30 days or more, what are the unforeseen consequences of, one, leaving it in, or two, taking it out?
What do we, yeah, I mean, but.
Well, the thing about it
I
is.
mean, what
that
about
you-
like that definition, Andy? What about considering taking out any reference to multifamily or single family? Just not.
I mean, I would almost say the last sentence altogether is just kind of confusing. Just have it be a building or group of buildings in which units are owned individually and the structure, common areas, and facilities owned by all the owners on a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, strike last
I'm thinking if I'm buying a condo on a beach, I'm automatically gonna be allowed to do short-term rental in it. Otherwise, why would I be buying a condo?
Well, I mean, not automatically allowed, but at least eligible to apply.
Right.
Yeah. I think, is everybody good with get rid of the last sentence in its entirety and just have it be a building or group of buildings in which units are owned individually and the structure, common areas, and facilities are owned by all owners on a proportional basis?
Yep.
List. Yep.
You good with that, Will?
Yeah, I got it.
Taking out that last sentence?
I got it.
All right. Next one, conference or training center. My only question there was, why are we limiting it to less than 500 people? Is that, like, is there a reason for the 500? I don't know that I really care or matter, just curiosity if nothing else.
And this might be a Nick question on what you would consider a safe rating for a conference center.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Once you go over the 500, is there a different definition for?
Yeah.
I would get rid of the 500, less than 500.
A facility designed
To accommodate persons and.
I would just say a facility designed to accommodate conferences, seminars, product displays, recreational activities, entertainment functions.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Or a facility designed to be used for conferences, seminars, dot, dot, dot.
Is there a minimum threshold as far as persons where you would have something, a different definition? Where if you, right, where if you
And
exceeded.
you have, community center, conference center,
But we're kind of throwing a big cast net with training center. I mean, to me, a training center would be 4 people, you know what I mean? Like, should we, I've seen training centers for, travel electricians. It's a building maybe the size of this whole thing, so. I think it's better to just not limit it to 500 and just say facility designed to be used for.
Yeah.
Everybody good with that? All right. You got that, Will?
Got it.
Convenience store. To me, this is kind of separating out almost a Dollar General from a gas station, which I'm good with. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the convenience store? Not right now.
This is a question.
Does anybody have any convenience store issues? All right, cross-access, I like the definition. I would think we should encourage cross-access. Does anybody have any issues with that? Cul-de-sac seems to be a pretty standard definition. Anybody got any questions on that? All right, moving to page 137, design guidelines, seems to be a pretty standardized definition. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Development Review Committee, Committee of City Staff. I'm good with that. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
All right. Going to 328, I think this is the same issue we've talked about. So bottom of page 139, the height of a building, and it gets into the however if the structure is located in the special flood hazard, where we measure it. I think that's been addressed. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
An emphatic yes from Joe. Please don't talk about it again. Hotels and motels seem to be pretty standardized. Anybody have any questions on it? Liquor store, I like it. No problem with that. Everybody good with that? Bottom of 143, medical cannabis dispensary is an entity which, everybody good with that? Next page, 144, pawn shops, personal services. Seem to be pretty standard definitions to me. Anybody have any questions on those? All right, final plat. Again, haven't seen anything wrong with how it was presented. Everybody good? Okay. Preliminary plat on top of 146, same thing, just word preliminary instead, so I'm good with it. Principal structure seems to be pretty standard. Real estate office, business ranges, selling of homes, I'm good with. All right, page 147, retail sales. Y'all holler if I'm going too fast, but these are pretty standard.
Yes.
337, or I'm sorry, page 148 on the packet is the site triangle, which is a good definition and is also defined and actually illustrated earlier in the ordinance, so I like it. The slug, I'm curious why we thought we needed to define it, but I mean, it's the right definition. Anybody got any issues with it? Okay. All right, we're on page 151 of 157, text amendment to the language of this ordinance or any ordinance that is reviewed and decided by the Board of Aldermen. I'm good with it.
I would change decided to approved, because they can decide not, and it wouldn't matter.
Approved by the Board of Aldermen?
Yeah.
Just approved.
I like it. All right, so townhouse, a one-family dwelling in a row of at least 3 such units in which each unit has its own front and rear access. No unit is located over. All of them separated by firewalls through the roof lines. I'm good with that. Everybody good with the townhome definition?
Yes.
All right, trade and vocational schools. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Good.
All right, page 152, variance. And I do actually like, so the definition of variance does include hardship. So I like that that is included and is consistent with what we talked about earlier. Vehicle repair, pretty standard. Veterinarian clinic, pretty standard. Top of page 153, warehouse,
Andy,
pretty standard.
just to make it consistent, decided is in that one too, with variance. Do you want to change it?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Shannon. So, Will, that's under variance, the last sentence that is reviewed and approved by the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Well, that's a good question, though. So should we add, is that the Board of Zoning Adjustment, or is that the Board of Aldermen? That's the Board of Aldermen to approve it.
Planning Board of Adjustment, and then the Board of Aldermen's final approval.
Right.
That is reviewed by the Board of Zoning Adjustment and approved by the Board of Aldermen.
Perfect. All right. All right, so vehicle repair, veterinarian clinic, we brought up, everybody good with those two?
Warehouse.
What'd you say?
Yeah, warehouse.
Yeah, all right, top of 153, warehouse, pretty standard. And that's all for the definitions section. All right, we are under the signs and outdoor advertising, page 154. I believe we're getting rid of the fee, Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are going to have a separate fee sheet that can be updated without a ordinance change. That's kind of the driving force in getting rid of item G, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm good with that. Everybody good with getting rid of G, just so we have the freestanding fee thing that, yeah. Did I hear yeses?
Yes,
Did I heard heads nodding? All right. So we go to page 156, and there's at least 1, 2, 3. All of the ones on page 156 and 157 are simply Carter correcting the subsection callouts. So I don't think we need to discuss those. I think we should probably have the right subsections.
What are you talking about, the signs?
Yeah, on the signs, like you say, instead of N3, it's N1. You just fixed the subsection callouts, yeah. All right. So, just going back to some of the comments we've heard today. One, there was a lot of questions on whether or not it was properly advertised and noticed. Carter and/or Will, can y'all confirm that it was properly advertised and/or noticed?
I believe it was. She didn't cite any statute or ordinance.
Okay. Having condos we've talked about, concerned, didn't advertise, comes up quick, took exception with every item. Nothing on the list is good for families, condo definition, ADU solely for short-term rental. No hardship variance, that one, all of those have been discussed. A lot of work in the EDC, public not getting input. This is the second public hearing. Who had input, community input needed? Steve Lott, 7 acres, but I don't want to be Biloxi. Kevin on the zoning board, creation of new zones. R6 is an illustrated accessory use, added human habitation. I don't know what I meant when I wrote that. Shannon, that was one of your comments. Accessory use, added human habitation. Is that yours?
It's struck that there was a thing in there where they couldn't be, and now it's.
Oh, it's the
taken out
strikeout.
where they can be.
Yeah.
And the other one more we mentioned to come back to.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but let's just
Page
make sure.
69 to 157.
Okay, so yeah, we've addressed all of those, and the 330, which one was it?
Page 157 at 3.3.2.
No, I've got, it's page 69. Yeah.
69, I'm sorry, 69 to 1.7.
Oh, that's the BFE.
Yeah, that we needed to figure out how we're gonna determine that one.
Yeah, just simply, do we keep the grade plane, or do we always measure from the BFE? I don't think it's gonna ever matter much more than 3 or 4 feet. I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal either way. I don't think it usurps anything in any other ordinances that are specifically discussed, so, I mean, I'm good with it as is. It seemed like everybody else was. Anybody want to see that changed, or are y'all good?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, I think that was my hand that made it confusing, so.
You're saying as is recommended?
Yeah, as presented in the packet is good. All right, so Will, you have all of those comments. I tried to check with you every time we made any changes. You confirm, you got the master list going?
I do. Does anyone particularly want me to go through them all?
I would simply whenever you're done, I'd like to see a finished version of it.
I'll type these up and send them to the commissioner.
I think if we everybody go with that, just get a finished version.
And as we did last time, I would recommend the motion to be, recommend approval, subject to the changes as discussed.
All right. Well, we are done discussing. Does anybody have any recommendations for motions?
I'll take a crack at it.
Yeah.
Recommend approval of the proposed UDC changes as noted and as discussed.
Good with that? You good? All right, motion Kevin, second Bob.
Just have a question, should we hear public comment before we?
We've already closed the public hearing.
I just have a question. Does
Anybody have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion by Kevin, a second by Joe, basically accepting with all comments that we made. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. We are to general public comment for any non-agenda items. If there's anything not discussed previously that the public needs to get off their chest, now would be a good time. Name and address at the microphone, please.
Ellen Hall, 17 Sunset, very good, I really appreciated you guys going through all that. I do have a question. So, a comment that someone has sent in to us, it says, so the water view district portion of the UDC is not being updated to include the new term condos. So it appears that it's carving that out now for the developer. Can we add condos, since you added condos to the matrix, that would cause no one to have the suspicion that we're doing this as a spot zoning. You see, I get why Carter added condos, that makes sense. I looked at the definition and it really does make sense. But it seems that that should also be part of the definition of the water view district, because it was intended to be that, to protect that. Otherwise, it's gonna look like we're just spot zoning to allow this for this developer. That's it.
Yep. Thank you.
The way I understand it, we made the recommendation that the Porter Avenue still goes all the way down to the marina. We're not changing the Porter Avenue overlay district.
We're also not.
And that property would also still be within the Ocean View Conservation Area, which limits its height.
The problem is, Kevin, it is not the Ocean View. It's the center line of Hillendale stops that. What was commented earlier and everything goes, saying the water view goes all the way around to Fort Bayou. But how it's written in the UDC as stated now, it stops at the center line of Hillendale.
The property that everybody's discussing that we're not discussing tonight is not in the water view in the first place.
Yeah. So I'm not really saying anything more than just how the Ocean View is written now. So.
Okay, anybody else in the audience have any additional comments?
I do.
All right, name and address at the microphone, please.
Steve Tillis, 3211 Cumberland Road. So, I had a couple questions, and you guys answered them. I thought y'all did a great job tonight. I just want to let y'all know you listened to us and you covered some things and went over some of the things that were concerning to us. So, just overall, I thought y'all did a really good job listening to us and answering our questions. And I think that what y'all looked at looked pretty good to me. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. And y'all keep in mind, we are recommending, we are not approving anything. So if y'all have further questions, comments, concerns, the board likes to meet in the same room. Would this be on October 1st as well? I just want to make sure. This will be on October 1st, or is this on next week's board agenda?
When I can get the changes done.
I don't know if it had to be re-advertised or anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think on too.
It doesn't have to be re-advertised. We usually don't re-advertise it for Board of Aldermen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to go on record saying it'll be on October 1.
Yeah, that's fine. So I would just have, and I see you there, Mr. Lewis.
I know you do.
Just pay attention to your board. If y'all are interested, pay attention to your board agendas. Either next week's or the one after should have this on there, or shoot, it could get delayed for other reasons. So just pay attention to your board meeting. We are not final say. Go ahead. Name and address. You know the drill.
James Lewis, 805 Canebrake Drive. I just want to tell you all that I thank you for the professionalism that you have displayed here today. And I saw a planning commission doing what a planning commission should do and not rubber stamp anything. And I appreciate that. The hard work and dedication that you have put in. I have a utmost respect for what I have seen tonight that has been displayed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. All right. Commissioner Forum. Carter, you're still here. Planning Commission votes, you want me to hand these out? Are we writing, what is this? Is this president, vice president, secretary?
Ask your coworker. Ask me.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, because we have it was actually supposed to be done last month.
All right, so this would just be writing president, vice president, and secretary. I believe that's the only ones we need, right?
You want to keep it how it is, or change?
Yeah, y'all. So as is, I would be president, Matthew would be vice, and Marshall the secretary, correct? But it can change. I'm putting Nick for president. I'm just teasing. This is second meeting if anybody wants in on the joke there. All right, I'm just gonna fold mine up and I'll leave it right there. And while y'all finish that out, anybody else got any commissioner forum? Anybody want the floor?
I do want to say, I share the concern a lot of the citizens have. It does feel like the city is doing a lot of things behind the residents' backs. It does feel like things are just popping up and large projects popping up, not being discussed fully. And I want you to know that at least on my end, I don't see anything before they pop up. They don't come in front of this commission. I have about as much information as most of the residents here do. Now granted, I have access and I can ask questions as well. They usually just do. But I share your concerns.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Anybody else? Because if not, I want a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion Joe, second Joey. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Let's go home. Be like a bartender. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here.
Everybody wants to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.